Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today we're talking about the Scorpius Antares. It is a new ship in Star Citizen Alpha 3.18 and it can be seen as a two-seater heavy fighter quantum interdictor. From RSI Celebrated Applied Innovations Division comes the latest in battlefield dominance, the Scorpius Antares. Redesigned to house a devastating EMP device and quantum jammer, the Antares shuts down enemy combatants, leaving them open to attack or boarding. Fully endorsed by the UE Navy and receiving the same glowing recommendations from the reckless 999th Test Squadron and Civil Defense Force as its forebear, the Antares is the keystone of a next-generation battle fleet. The ship is currently on sale from $215 for war bonds, so that's new real money, or $230 store credit, which is store credit from melted ships, basically. There is a war bond upgrade available. Basically, you can upgrade any of your ships you want with the war bond upgrade, as long as it's under $210. You can upgrade it to this ship that is effectively purchasable at $210, but you have to use real money for that upgrade. The ship is flyable now in Star Citizen Alpha 3.18, but it is not available in in-game ship stores yet. So you can expect it to turn up later this year. There's typically a 3-month exclusivity period before ships that are flyable then appear in the in-game shops. So bear that in mind. The ship has 4 size 3 wing mounts that come with size 2 laser repeaters as standard. They're all gimbaled, and a built-in missile rack with 16 size 2 missiles, adding a deadly punch to your arsenal. Component-wise, it's mostly single size 1 components, and assume that for everything unless otherwise stated, but it also has a size 2 shield, 2 size 1 coolers, 2 size 1 fuel intakes and 2 size 1 fuel tanks, as well as 3 size 1 power plants. So that's actually quite a lot of power and a lot of redundancy there. Obviously, bits might get sort of balanced further in the future, so bear that in mind. The co-pilot, the second seat, has control of some other major systems of the ship, that being the quantum jammer and EMP. So there is a size 3 quantum jammer dampener that prevents ships from going into quantum rather than pulling them out. So it's not a quantum snare, basically, is what I'm saying. There's also a size 4 mag-strand EMP generator. I believe both of those systems are exclusive or bespoke to the hull of the Scorpius Antares. We did also have a Q&A about the Scorpius Antares, which I'll go through. Are there any advantages over the base Scorpius, such as armor, shields, and maneuverability for the Antares? The Antares armor and shields are the same as the base Scorpius. However, the lack of a additional turret makes it lighter, because obviously it loses that moving turret. So this translates into a marginally higher top speed, but for balance, its handling performance has been slightly reduced as well at the moment. Will the Antares cockpit setup differ from the base Scorpius? For example, will it have 4 MFDs instead of just 2? The cockpit setups are virtually identical, with only minor changes to the cockpit seat to account for the extra functionality. The Scorpius was intentionally built with 2 MFDs, as we plan to bring back additional helmet-based MFDs in the future. The Antares has lost its turret. Does it still technically classify as a heavy fighter? The Antares is still classified as a heavy fighter due to its remaining firepower, which, while lower in raw DPS, provides punch in alternative ways with the EMP and quantum jammer. However, it does somewhat straddle the line between a heavy fighter and an interdictor. How does the extra interdiction and EMP modules affect the signature when being scanned? It has more energy-hungry components and an additional power plant to run them. The Antares signature is higher than the regular Scorpius, meaning it can be detected more easily. How does the Antares quantum enforcement drive, QED, component differ from that of the Mantises? The Antares doesn't have a full QED, just a quantum jammer, which prevents nearby ships from using their quantum drive. The Mantis has both a jammer and a quantum snare, which pulls other ships out of quantum travel. However, the Mantis does not have an EMP like the Antares. What advantages and disadvantages does the Antares have over, for example, the Cutlass Blue and the Vanguard Sentinel? The key advantage is the combination of both a quantum jammer and EMP device, whereas the Cutlass Blue and Sentinel only have one of the two. However, the Sentinel and Cutlass Blue benefit from having an accessible interior space, providing greater flexibility in their roles. Will the EMP be as powerful as the Vanguard Sentinels? It is very similar in power to the Sentinels, trading a slightly slower charge time for a slightly increased range. These values will likely be adjusted over time to ensure both remain competitive, but a bit different. As the Antares is not as maneuverable or nimble as the Avenger Warlock, is the EMP's area of effect large enough to make up for this? Yes, the Antares EMP radius is higher than the Warlock's to account for its reduced mobility relative to the smaller ship. What size EMP generator will the Antares have? How many ships can the EMP take out? The EMP generator is bespoke and doesn't fit within the usual component parameters. How many ships can it disable entirely depends on how close they are and their component sizes, as it's a radial effect that targets components directly. What is the spooling time of the EMP on the Antares? Giving concrete times for spool rates is something that they wish to avoid, as further balance is needed. In a hierarchy with other EMP ships, the Raven is the fastest at spooling, and the Antares and Sentinel are slower. If someone is playing solo, can the pilot control the quantum jammer and EMP? No, the co-pilot is required to activate the quantum jammer and EMP. Does the co-pilot have control of the missiles as well as the EMP? No, just the EMP and quantum jammer. Also, the Antares is effectively its own hull, so you can't switch the EMP or quantum jammer with a different Scorpius. You can't put the turret back on to the Antares. With the introduction of master modes, will the quantum jammer affect a ship's ability to quantum boost? Yes, the quantum jammer is currently planned to interfere with the ability to quantum boost, sort of all quantum operation. Will we see a Scorpius wing configuration that allows us to have flat wings in the future? That's still planned, but low down on the priority list. We'll be also looking into other vehicles with third states, including the Dragonfly's combat state and the Eclipse's tucked wings when we do this. What is the reasoning behind making the Antares a two-seater versus a one-seater? Gameplay-wise, having all that on a single player would be quite overwhelming compared to splitting the load between two, especially in the heat of combat. For example, a single player having to deal with guns, missiles, EMP, and quantum jammer when engaging a group of enemies alongside friendly ships would be too much. I actually disagree with that. I think that it's two-seater makes sense more for balance, so because you don't want a ship that just is better effectively than something that just does quantum jamming or just does EMP, and it just goes, well, actually does a load of stuff and it's better and it's a heavy fighter. So two-seater actually makes sense for it. Also, I don't think it's too complicated having those sort of roles from a single seat. However, if you argue that master mode's required, so you'd actually have to go into EMP mode or you would have to go into quantum mode to be able to do that, yeah, then maybe you do want to be able to operate it as a fighter while doing that separately, so the two seats also make sense there, but that's just my 2 cents on that. Some other bits and bobs, so that was basically the end of the Q&A. There is a load of skins available for the ship currently on the sales page from around $7.50 each. There's an Avalanche skin, which is mainly white, a Shock Force skin, which is mainly yellow, which looks pretty cool, a Blight skin, which is a military green, Storm Cloud, which is sort of a blue-grey, but there's also a Sunburn skin. Now, I like this because it looks like an Asimov from Counter-Strike, and I love that. I actually like it more than the yellow. I like the orange and whiteness of it. I think it looks very cool. So yeah, that's the Scorpius Antares. I do think it's going to be relatively well balanced because of the nature of it being a two-seater does mean that actually you could take a Warlock and a Mantis, and it'd be interesting to see how that compares to an Antares. Obviously, the Antares can't snare. It can only jam with its quantum drive, but it has got a huge amount of utility and a lot of firepower because it is still a heavy fighter. As I said as well, in about 3 months' time or so, you will be able to buy this in-game, so you don't need to buy them with real money. If you want to play with it immediately, then yeah, either purchase one or borrow one off one of your org mates. Try and steal a player's in-game. I do think it looks cool. It does appeal to me more than the original Scorpius did, but I'm really interested to know your thoughts on it. Do you think it's an overpowered ship? Do you think it's underpowered? Do you think it's irrelevant? Do you prefer the normal Scorpius? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, especially if you've bought one, or you're ignoring it, or you're going to get one in game. Tell me all the things. It's 2023. There's no need for a VPN like NordVPN, right? In the modern era. Wrong. What's this, a Silent Hill styled ad? No, due to copyright, it's actually a Quiet Mound ad. But that siren means that someone's got my browsing data and hacked all my sanity away at Starbucks. Oh no, that guy's got a triangle on his head. I've never had a Silent Hill incident while using nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. By God, can you risk not having it? Well, probably, but why take the chance? NordVPN can help you access more content on the internet from more countries in a safer and more private way. It's an essential tool in your arsenal in 2023 against the legally distinct triangle head. Check out the links below for one hell of a deal. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For March, we are giving away an Argo Raft, the mighty little hauler that could. Soon, it should be able to make use of its 32 SCU cargo boxes, but in Alpha 3.18, it's going to have to make you some serious Alpha UEC from cargo hauling. It also comes with a game package and lifetime insurance, all you need to get started in your Star Citizen career. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting the channel. Please consider becoming a YouTube member with the join button under our videos or using the links below Patreon. It really goes the extra mile to support us making daily content for Star Citizen. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your space friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.